My name is Mila Bishop. I'm 26, the surprise daughter in a dynasty that doesn't believe in accidents. My family owns half the lakefront in Tahoe and twice the secrets, but I grew up on the edge of every photo, every inheritance meeting, every whispered plan. My sister Harper was the heir. I was the apology. For as long as I can remember, I've been treated like a mistake they never managed to erase. Still, I came back for Thanksgiving, stupidly hoping time might have softened them. Instead, my grandmother stood in front of 30 guests, pointed a trembling finger at me, and screamed, "You were never supposed to be here." The chandelier above us buzzed. Wine stopped mid-pour. Forks froze inches from mouths. Someone gasped. I felt every eye pivot toward me like I'd just ripped open a coffin. Harper's eyes stayed on her plate. Her fiancé adjusted his tie and didn't look up. My mother, Leanne, offered a brittle smile, like a PR manager caught in a scandal. "You're tired, Gran." I tried. "Long flight, lots of wine, lots of—" "You," Eleanor snapped, voice sharp as crystal, "were not invited. And you will not turn this house into a courtroom." Her voice didn't shake, but my hands did. "This is a family dinner," I whispered. "I am family." "That's not up to you," she said. I didn't remember standing. I just remember knocking over my chair and walking out before my knees buckled. I didn't grab a coat. Didn't look back. Just the cold. And silence. And then, the hallway table. A stack of unopened envelopes. RSVP cards. Bank statements. A white envelope, thicker than the rest, wedged in sideways. The name scrawled in pen, unfamiliar.
Mila.
I took it. I don't know why. The air outside bit at my skin. I walked 2 miles. Motel neon flickered like a nervous twitch. Room 112 smelled like bleach and dying hopes. I opened the envelope. Inside, a black and white photograph of me, maybe 3, held in the arms of a man I'd never seen. The ink on the back bled into the paper.
You deserve to know why.
I read it 10 times. The motel fridge hummed like a heartbeat. My own heartbeat pounded louder. I wasn't scared. Not yet. But I was awake. I pull my phone. No signal. Turn the photo over again. Zoomed in. The man had a scar under his eye. His hand clutched something just outside the frame.
Not a toy.
A folder. The logo barely visible. Driggs and Vale Holdings. No one ever said I had a father. They said he died in a boating accident. No name. No funeral. But the man in the photo? He was holding me like he planned to never let go. I closed my eyes. There's a kind of silence that only lives in motel rooms, when you're between past and panic. Like the world paused, just for you to realize how utterly alone you are. I checked the timestamp on the photo. The ink said 1998. I was born in 1997. That photo wasn't just a memory. It was evidence. And if Gran lost her mind the second I walked through the door, maybe it wasn't rage. Maybe it was fear. She knew I would find it eventually. That's why she needed me gone. Before I remembered. I didn't sleep. The motel ceiling cracked above me like it was alive, creaking with every change in temperature. The photo sat on the nightstand, face up, eyes of the man staring into mine like he knew this moment would come. People lie. Paper doesn't. At 5:12 a.m., I left. Cold air slapped my skin. Tahoe was quiet, still dark, the way only rich towns can afford to be. I walked the back route to the estate, avoiding cameras, motion lights. I'd done this before, once, when I was 15, locked out after Harper told them I'd stolen from Gran's drawer. I hadn't, but no one asked me. Some things don't change. The gate wasn't locked. Eleanor probably thought shame would be enough to keep me out. Shame's only effective when you haven't hit rock bottom. The side entrance led to the sunroom. It smelled of rosemary and pinewood polish. I moved fast. Quiet. The study was at the back left hallway. Her late husband's desk still sat beneath the window, bathed in the early gray of morning. I tried the top drawer.
Locked.
Lower cabinet. Unlocked. Old files. Tax returns. Oil leases. A folder labeled Estate 2009, holding revisions. Inside contracts. Pages and pages of them. Signatures. My name. Mila Bishop, trust beneficiary. I blinked. The original deed to the lakefront property. Transferred by Yem Driggs to Mila Bishop on August 13, 2011. Trust held in her name, managed by executor Harper Driggs pending majority. Executor. I wasn't the mistake. I was the owner. I barely noticed the red stamp on the last page. Revoked. Filed. October 12, 2022. Revoked by Harper Driggs, co-signed by Leanne Bishop. My breath caught. Heat surged up my spine. I'd been erased. Then, a footstep behind me. I turned. Harper, wearing her coat, hair in a bun, steaming cup of coffee in hand. She looked like a magazine ad for successful eldest daughters. Looking for something? She said, sipping. I live here, I replied, voice steady. You used to, she smiled. Then the adults realized you were a liability. You forged that revocation, I said, lifting the paper. She raised a brow. You think I forged Grand's signature? You didn't need to. You just waited until she was high on meds and stuck a pen in her hand. Harper smiled, sharp. Don't talk about things you don't understand. You think life's about fairness? Life's about control. And you've never had any. A pause. She walked forward slowly. You were adopted for a reason, she said, too softly. You were leverage, Mila. A placeholder. I felt like vomiting. She placed her hand on the desk, inches from mine. I'll give you one piece of advice. Control what you can. Leave the rest before it eats you alive. The room dimmed. I blinked.
No, not dimmed.
The lights cut. Total blackout. Silence. Then click. A door creaked open somewhere. I backed away. Harper didn't flinch. Seriously, she said. You're pulling a horror movie move now. She walked to the switch. Flipped. Nothing. Fuse blew, she said. Relax. But I didn't. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Get out. You're being watched. I froze. So did Harper. Her phone buzzed at the same time. She checked. Frowned. Looked at me. What did you do? I didn't send it. Another buzz. I read it aloud. She has less time than you think. Don't let her open the safe. Harper lunged. I ducked, rolled. She slammed into the chair instead. I ran. Back hall. Past the greenhouse. Out the side door. The air outside cut through me like a knife. I didn't stop running until I reached the edge of the woods, panting, lungs searing. Truth has a funny way of showing up right when you're not ready for it. And revenge? It starts with survival. If they rewrote the past to erase me, I have nothing left to lose rewriting the truth. Rain turned the Tahoe streets slick, mirror-like. Headlights split puddles. I pressed the gas harder. I needed answers. I needed someone who didn't have my last name. Elijah Carr had once worked security for Driggs and Vale Holdings before he went off-grid. My grandfather trusted him. My mother called him the cleaner behind closed doors, like he was some urban legend with a shredder in one hand and a silencer in the other. Now he was just a name in a cracked flip phone, living 2 towns over in Reno. The kind of guy who made people disappear, for good or for safe, depending on who was paying. I parked behind a liquor store and walked 2 blocks to a gray building with flaking paint and a buzzer that didn't work. 4th floor. Apartment 4B. The hallway smelled like boiled socks. I knocked. No answer. Again. Nothing. I pulled out the photo, pressed it to the peephole, whispered through the door. It's about Aiden Cross. The lock clicked. The door opened half an inch. One bloodshot, I stared back. Say that again, he rasped. Dr. Aiden Cross, I said. He's my... Click. The door opened all the way. Inside was dark, thick with old tobacco and something medicinal. Elijah looked like he'd been scraped off the floor, patchy beard, One cataract-clouded eye, hands trembling with rage or withdrawal. Maybe both. You should have never come, he said. But since you did, sit. Shut up. And listen. I sat. A kettle hissed in the corner. No cups. People think truth is light, he said. It's not. Truth is a fuse. He pulled out a metal lockbox. Fingers shaking, he spun the combination. 4 digits. Something clicked. Inside, a single USB drive. And a gun. He slid the USB to me. I was supposed to burn that, he said. But I couldn't. Man who gave it to me saved my life once. Cross. He nodded once. I saw him the night he vanished. Said he was being hunted. Said they'd erased the mother already. Said you were next. My mother? Not Leanne, he growled. Your real mother. My throat closed. He lit a cigarette with hands that shook too much. I've seen men gut their own friends for half what this thing proves, he said, tapping the drive.
But
that's your birthright. I shoved the USB into my pocket. The kettle boiled over. He didn't move to stop it. I stood. Thank you, I whispered. He grabbed my wrist. Hard. Don't open it alone. If you see a red folder marked Project Lantern, don't even blink. Just run. I left without asking. Some truths don't belong in words. I drove straight to a gas station, parked under the brightest lights, opened my laptop and plugged in the drive. It spun up, hummed like a loaded gun. One folder, patient files, cross. One subfolder, Mila_Bishop_DNA.pdf.
click.
I stared. Sequence chains. Gene markers. File notes. Terms like Subject 11B and Reproductive Override Order. I scrolled down. A second file loaded. Internal memo from Eleanor Driggs, dated June 2001. Subject: Custodial assignment and liability removal. I couldn't breathe. The memo stated, Cross attempted to expose Project Lantern. Subject 11B, infant, extracted. Custodians, reassigned. Biomaternal unit terminated. Terminated. My real mother. Executed like a lab rat. A third file loaded. A video clip. Security footage.
Blurry. Silent.
A man running. Carrying a baby. Alarms in the distance. Lights flashing red. He looked back once. Same scar. Same arms. The man from the photo. My father.
He didn't abandon me.
He saved me. A scream choked in my chest. Then headlights. Not mine. A second car screeched into the lot. Black SUV. Windows tinted. No plates. I yanked the drive out. Slammed the laptop shut. Jammed the keys into ignition. Too slow. The SUV charged. Metal slammed metal. My car spun. Airbags burst. Glass sprayed my face. Smoke filled my lungs. I kicked the door open and crawled. Boots hit pavement behind me. Footsteps.
Fast.
Heavy. I ran. Limped. Didn't look back. The alley behind the gas station was lit by one dying bulb. I ducked. Held my breath. Watched the SUV roll past. They didn't stop. Not yet. But they would. They always do. They tried to bury me once. This time, I'm digging them up with my bare hands. I drove with one hand and pressed the USB tight against my chest with the other. Rain whipped across the windshield. The wipers gave up halfway up the glass. I didn't care. I kept driving. Every 5 seconds, I checked the mirror. The black SUV never came back. But the paranoia stayed. You're not being hunted, I muttered. You're being watched. That's worse. I stopped at the first roadside clinic with lights on. A nurse stitched the gash above my eyebrow, told me I needed scans. I told her I needed to leave. She nodded slowly, like she'd heard that before. You're not the first girl who came in here looking like she escaped something. Did they ever come back? I asked. She didn't answer. 3 hours later, I walked out with gauze on my head, bruised ribs, and a question bigger than my body could hold. Who else knew I was alive? My phone buzzed as I slid into the car. Unknown number. Again. She knows what you found. It's not about inheritance anymore. I drove straight back toward Tahoe. Eleanor Driggs had been silent for 26 years. But I knew something now she never intended me to learn. And knowledge like that? It makes you radioactive. By the time I pulled into the estate, the snow had started. Flakes in the headlights looked like falling ash. The front gate was open.
Bad sign.
Rich people lock gates. I took the back way in. Through the orchard. Down the gravel side path. I kept low. The study was lit. Only one lamp. One shadow. I pushed the door open. Eleanor was sitting at her late husband's desk, facing the window, holding a glass of amber liquid that didn't look like tea. She didn't turn when I stepped inside. "I thought you might come," she said calmly. "Didn't expect it so soon. You tried to kill me." "No," she said, still not turning. "I try to scare you. There's a difference." My fists clenched. "So it was you." I warned Harper what happens when amateurs try to do what should be left to professionals. Her voice was ice. The lamp cast a single harsh shadow across the floor. "You erased my name from every document. You forged signatures. You." "I protected this family," she said, standing. Then she turned. In her hand, a gun.
Small. Silver.
Elegant.
Deadly.
"You don't understand what was at stake." "I do now." I pulled the USB from my jacket. She laughed once.
Dry.
"You think a flash drive can scare me?" It scared Harper. She flinched. For the first time, a crack. "She's weak," Eleanor said. "Always has been." She didn't look weak when she tried to run me off the road. Silence. Then her mouth twitched. "You should have stayed gone, Mila. You should have let me live." Her smile faded. "You were never supposed to grow up." I took a step forward.
Slowly.
"You had my mother killed. She was going to destroy everything your father built." "You mean expose it." "Same thing." Cinematic pause. Her finger on the trigger. My heart beat louder than the storm outside. Then, the door slammed open. Harper, hair soaked, breathless, face pale. She was holding a gun too.
Pointed at me.
"Put it down, Mila." My world spun. "You're with her?" "I'm with whoever keeps me alive." "She killed my mother." "She promised me she wouldn't kill you." "Great deal." "I warned you," Harper whispered. "You always push too far." I moved an inch. 2 guns trained on me. "Whatever truth you think matters," Eleanor said, "it won't matter when you're dead." Lightning flashed. 1 second. 1 breath. 1 betrayal away from the end. If my own blood wants me dead, then this was never just about a secret. No one moved. 3 people. 2 guns. 1 secret room soaked in generational blood. Harper's hand trembled. Her finger rested on the trigger like it was second nature. Her eyes flicked between me and Eleanor, like she hadn't decided who to shoot yet. "Think carefully," I said. "You point that gun at me, you're protecting the person who used you like a pawn since you were old enough to speak. She's our grandmother. She's a monster." Eleanor stepped forward.
She's weak.
"And you, Mila, are what happens when weakness gets mistaken for rebellion." "I'm what happens when the truth survives long enough to grow teeth." I raised the USB stick. "You recognize this, Gran? It's not just files. It's footage. Internal memos. DNA reports. The kind that makes corporations collapse and people disappear." Harper's lips parted. She didn't know. She thought this was just about money. "You think she'd let you inherit anything if I wasn't here?"
I said.
"You were never the heir. You were the fall girl." "You're lying." "You're just late." Thunder cracked outside. Wind slammed against the windows. For a moment, we all flinched the same way, 3 animals mid-standoff. Then Harper's phone vibrated. She didn't answer. She read the screen, and her expression went white. I saw it. 1 word. Liability. I stepped forward. "What did it say?" She swallowed.
Didn't speak.
Eleanor's voice sharpened. "Give me the drive, Mila."
Why?
"So you can burn it like you burned my father?" She didn't blink. Your father betrayed this family. He exposed crimes. You killed him for it. You think the world runs on justice? It runs on control. And when someone threatens that, they're removed. I looked at Harper. Is that what she told you about Dad? She didn't answer, but her arm was lowering. I took one more step. She lied to all of us. She said he abandoned me. Said my mother died in childbirth. But she had her murdered. And buried every trace. Except me. You're playing a dangerous game, Eleanor hissed. Games have rules. You just don't like when someone else figures them out. Then, the sound of a door slamming downstairs.
Boots.
Voices.
Police.
The front door burst open. Detective Lana Cross stepped into the hallway, badge drawn, flanked by 2 uniformed officers. Put the guns down, she barked. Harper froze. Eleanor didn't. She turned the gun toward me. Harper screamed.
I dove?
A shot rang out. Wood splintered behind my head. Harper lunged, tackled Eleanor. Another shot, wild. Lana moved. Yells.
Grunts.
Bodies hitting floor. I crawled to the corner. Blood splattered across the drapes. Harper was on top of Eleanor, sobbing, shaking. Lana kicked the gun away. Silence. The officers cuffed Eleanor without a word. She didn't resist. Didn't speak. Just smiled. A slow, bitter curl of her lips. You think you've won? She whispered. I stood. Shaking. Bleeding. Breathing. Truth always wins. It just takes longer to bleed out the liars. Lana turned to me. We'll need to talk. I'm not done talking, I said. I looked at Harper. She was staring at her hands like they didn't belong to her anymore. We could have been allies, I told her. We were never sisters, she said, voice hollow. As they dragged Eleanor out, she turned her head once. You don't even know who you really are. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Your father is alive. I wasn't supposed to exist. Now they can't make me disappear. Snow fell like silence, cold, heavy, relentless. Eleanor was gone.
Harper was gone.
The estate, once a cathedral of control, now sat hollow, doors locked, windows boarded, reputation burning. But me? I was still here. It took 3 weeks for the federal indictment to come through. 2 for the asset freeze. 48 hours for the media to swarm. They all wanted one thing. The girl no one expected to survive. But truth doesn't need an audience. It just needs light. I sat across from Detective Lana Cross in a government holding facility. A flat gray room. Metal table. One flickering light. The kind of place where secrets either live forever or die loud. Let's go over it again, she said. I slid the USB across the table. No edits, I told her. No redactions. You sure you want the world to see this? I want the world to see what happens when power eats its young. She opened the files. As she scrolled, I watched her jaw tighten. Everything she built, I said, was a coffin. She just didn't expect to end up inside it. Lana nodded. We found bodies, Mila. I swallowed. I know. She killed your mother. And tried to make me forget I ever had one. Silence. Why come back? She asked. I looked at her. Because I deserve to know. Because silence is a cage. Because blood is not loyalty. But what I said was simple. Because I was never supposed to. Sometimes revenge isn't fire. It's survival. It's proof that breath still comes, even when they try to cut off your air. A month later, I stood on the deck of the Tahoe house.
Mine now.
Fog rolled off the lake like smoke from an old war. The floors had been stripped, walls repainted, photos gone. But one thing remained. The vault in the study. I opened it with the original combination, my birthday. Inside, one envelope.
Sealed.
The handwriting was familiar. To my daughter. When you're ready. I opened it. A single piece of paper. A map.
Coordinates.
A small town in Oregon. A name at the bottom.
Aiden.
I didn't cry. Some things are too big for tears. That night, I packed a bag. Told no one. I left the house at dawn. Not with fear. With purpose. 3 days later, I found him. He was older. His hair gone gray. A limp in his walk. But the eyes were the same. He opened the door, looked at me, and said, I never stopped looking. I stepped into his arms. And for the first time in 26 years, I felt like I existed in the right story. Not every family is a legacy. Some are a lie dressed in pearls and property deeds. But legacy isn't what you inherit. It's what you choose to break. My name is Mila Bishop. I was never supposed to be here. But I am. And I'm never leaving again.